I saw the most atrocious, horrific thing on the subway the other day, and I told my friends about it. They do not understand why I was so disgusted. And of course I took a picture, and so I need to tell y'all about it so you can either validate me or just tell me I'm crazy. So when you go to a Broadway show, if you would like to have a glass of wine, they obviously don't give it to you in a wine glass. You get like a souvenir cup, which is like a chintzy plastic. You know the type. It's not like a solid, thick plastic, and it's not like a red Solo cup. It's somewhere in between. And it usually has the name of the show. It's like a sippy cup, so you don't spill in the theater.
Wow. That's amazing.
Woman, the fact that you're talking about a commemorative cup from a Broadway show as the baseline for the most disgusting thing you've ever seen on the New York City subway is rather fascinating, but not for the reasons that you think, not in the slightest. You see, lady, if you ask anybody who's regularly commuted via underground trains, they'll tell you some horror stories. Homeless people urinating on the floor, dudes who haven't showered in a month, and those dumbass subway dance shows that happen all over the place. Every single one of them is revolting. But your story is starting off with a souvenir cup, and the only way that could be even remotely disgusting is if the cup was filled with some sort of a bodily fluid, and even then it has to belong to someone else in order to gain some attention. Now, we already know that your reveal is going to be underwhelming. That's because you once got offended at a guy for having the audacity to text you with an Android phone when you own an Apple product. So not only is your life one gigantic mess of listlessness and boredom, it's also way more privilege than you deserve.
Fine. And I saw this woman, she had repurposed the cup and used it for her coffee on the subway. I believe it was iced coffee, and it had melted, and it was just swishing around in this cup. And I can barely even look at this while I'm filming.
And
Hey lady, I really don't think you realize how pathetic you're sounding right now. You're riding on the subway in New York freaking City. Now, I can't vouch for every single subway in North America, but I've been on a couple, and they can be a massive cesspool of scum and villainy. Graffiti, sticky floors caked in filth, not to mention seats that are suspiciously stained, and that's on a good day, mind you. So the fact that someone is sipping iced coffee out of an overpriced plastic sippy wine cup is enough to disgust you just goes to show how ignorant you truly are. It's iced coffee, woman. It's not a pint of goat's blood. But if movies like Angel Eyes and End of Days have taught me anything, carrying around a pint of goat's blood in a Moulin Rouge travel cup is probably not going to turn as many heads as you think. But with that being said, if someone is enjoying a cup of iced coffee and that's enough to make you sick, then I don't even want to know how you'd react if you ever saw a dude drink some wine out of a styrofoam cup. Something tells me you'd probably try to report that to The Hague as a war crime. I mean, I wouldn't put it past you. You have an overwhelming drive to want to create drama out of a crappy plastic cup.
I got off the train and, no joke, was dry heaving. And then the straw on top of it, I can't look at it any longer. All of those factors, you're sipping, melted, or even if it was hot, I can't. It is the most disgusting thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, when I look out over your sea of vacant faces, I feel like to puke.
The most disgusting thing you've ever seen in your life, huh? Well, yeah, that explains a lot. You've not only led a life that was so sheltered that you've never had to witness anything gross, but your brain is so broken that a cup of coffee is enough to trigger you physically and emotionally. And this just begs the question, who in the hell is this video even for? Were you seriously hoping that people will relate to you on how you dry heave at the sight of iced coffee in a plastic cup that was used to hold wine at one point? You do realize that people have suffered legitimate trauma on the subway, right? Like having to witness someone getting set on fire by a maniac while the train was moving. Not to mention the countless fights, threats, and homeless people using your car as a toilet. And when given the choice between arson and a sippy cup full of lukewarm coffee, I know which one I'm choosing, but that's only because I exist in reality. We're not like you, sister. Precious few are. You're a woman who clearly never rides the subway, and not only has money to burn on Broadway shows, but also enough for overpriced wine in an overcharged commemorative plastic cup. Your life isn't that bad, sweetheart, and nobody cares about what makes you dry heave.
I apologize. I forgot you were there. You may go now.
You know, I never thought I would still be single when I was 50 years old, but here we are. I'll tell you something. It's not so bad. I have my cat. I have yet to find somebody that respects me the way that I respect them. And I'll stay single forever until I do. Rambo wants attention.
Man, you are one pathetic loser. No offense.
Woman, who exactly are you trying to convince here? Yourself or the internet? Well, you know what? It doesn't matter. Either way, it's a fool's errand. Now, you're claiming that you've never been able to meet a man that respects you. And though I can't prove it, I'm still willing to bet that if you were tasked with defining the word respect, you wouldn't be able to do it. You just stand there, dumbfounded, as if someone asked you to square root to the number 4. And that's because the word respect is yet another one of those buzzwords that you can't define. Ranks up there with patriarchy or being a decent human being. You just use it to describe any man who doesn't meet your standards. Does he not shower you with praise regularly to ease your rampant insecurities? Then he's disrespectful. Does he not take you on lavish vacations to exotic locales? Oh, that's just disrespectful as well. Does he not uproot any of his boundaries and allow himself to be dominated by your emotionally unstable will? Yo, you bet that's disrespectful. The list just goes on and on. And if you've been on this earth for 50 years and you've screwed up something that's been done by cave people, then the problem isn't the men. It's you, sweetheart. That's why Rambo's bothering you. He doesn't respect you. You are his maid. So feed him, tell him he's pretty, and don't be surprised if you end up going through his intestinal tract one day.
I don't know who needs to hear this, but your soulmate wouldn't block you, and they would actually want to date you and see you and be with you and make sure that you're okay. You know this. Get up. We're moving on.
Sweet. You couldn't ignore me if you tried.
Yeah, good luck with that, sister. The fact that you're using terms like soulmate just goes to show how hopeless you really are. It's such an extreme concept that comes with such an insane level of emotional attachment that calling it unrealistic would be one of the biggest understatements in the history of human pair bonding. It's based on a crazy fantasy that was written by the lowest bidder and sold to Netflix at a hyperinflated price. And once you think you've found your soulmate, which is effectively the male lead in the romantic dramedy true crime story that you're currently consuming, the excuses you'll make are as crazy as they are oddly predictable. If he ghosts you, you'll just stalk him on social media and try to come up with all sorts of zany ways to keep in touch with him. I mean, why not? He's your soulmate after all. The universe handpicked him and delivered him unto you because you're stunning, brave, strong, and independent. And even if that wasn't the case, every single man that you will meet henceforth will just be thrown into the never-ending pissing contest that was your former romantic conquest, where you compare the next guy to the previous one who was formerly your soulmate. There's no moving on from that, sister. Your skull is drowning in so much piss that there's no way you'll be able to flush it out.
Ew. What a mess. Ew. Ew. Ew.
So it is 9:09 in the morning, and I have already made $2K off of a guy from doing Findom. He just wanted me to drain his wallet, be a total bitch to him, and tell him he's got a small D. So I think that definitely kicked off my Friday rights, and just letting you know this is my outfit for the day, for the time being.
I can see behind your shirt.
Wow, 2 whole K for texting mean words to a guy, huh? Oh, that's all well and good, but I got a question for you. 2K of what exactly? Now, I know that you're implying that this was $2,000 US or possibly Canadian, but I honestly find that kind of suspect. Now, we cannot put it past some lonely simp to blow that kind of money on an online avenue stroller, but at the same time, it could be 2K worth of anything. And when we take a look at the state of world currency, this could either be a good thing or a humiliating attempt at a flex. Sure, if we're dealing with dollars or pounds sterling, then sure, that would be something. But if we're talking about 2,000 in Japanese yen, that's closer to 13 bucks. But personally, I like to prefer that this dude paid you in Laotian kip, and 2,000 kip is literally 9 cents, which ironically enough is the street value of any album done by Winger. And personally, there's significantly more dignity to be had in your mint condition copy of In the Heart of the Young signed by Kip Winger himself than there is to be had in paying 2,000 kip to have an online avenue stroller disrespect you.
Hi, we have to take a moment for some shameless self-promotion.
I want to give a personal shout out to Terex Corbin, the newest member of the Bounty Board over on Patreon. Good sir, your magnanimous generosity has been seen and known by the intergalactic space god Gerb Dupazerd, all hail, and he is most certainly adding your name onto the holy pamphlet of quality products at affordable prices. Thank you so much for your support, sir. And the same must be said for all of the members of the Bounty Board for their support of my work as well. Gentlemen and gents, your contributions are an absolute lifesaver, and it's damn near impossible to express how much that I appreciate your support. It's freaking awesome to see, and I cannot thank you enough. All hail! And if you're interested in supporting the channel, check out the Bounty Board over on Patreon, where for $5 a month, you can get access to exclusive content you won't find on YouTube. I'll leave the link in the pinned comment down below for you. And of course, you can always support my work by liking this video, sharing, leaving comments, and if you're enjoying my particular brand of comedy, then I hope I've earned your subscription today. Now back to the cringe, gentlemen and gents.
I said I was done on the dating apps, and I thought I was, and then I got sad and I re-downloaded them, and now I'm going to tell you a story that is causing me to delete them again because I've come to my senses. So, I matched with somebody, we were talking for a few days, it was fine, it was cool. One of the few people where I was like, alright, well, we'll see what happens. And yesterday, he asked me if I had plans on Friday night, and I said yes, because I do. And I said, well, how about Saturday? I'm off on Saturday. And he said that we had opposite schedules and he has plans on Saturday night.
Well, what did the police say?
Well, hold the presses. Your schedules didn't match? Well, if that's not enough to make you abandon all hope in the ocean of fire acid that's known as human pair bonding, then I don't know what the hell is. Be serious for a second, woman. There is no way that you are going to be able to quit the dating apps. It's just a form of digitized vaping for you. Anytime you need that fix, you just log onto your phone and endlessly scroll through the list of chads, simps, bots, and pervs until your dopamine levels top off and you can go about your day at the minimum amount of feeling painfully lonely. Now, you've tried to quit multiple times, but you keep coming back to them. You can't help but wonder what you're missing. It's kind of like vaping. It's so simple and easy that you just can't help but inhale that flavored air, and every time you quit, you can't help but go back since it's so cheap and readily available. And regardless of how many times you try to quit the dating apps, all it'll take is one innocuous moment that reminds you of being single, and then you're re-downloading the apps to start the cycle again. You can't help yourself, woman. It's pretty much what you do.
And I said, okay, what about Sunday? And he responded something along the lines of like, you know, I might be free Sunday night. Or like, there's a possibility I'll be free Sunday night. And I thought about it. And finally I sent a message back that I thought was very cordial and kind of like, no pressure. But I sent one back saying, okay, well, I like concrete plans, so why don't you let me know when you're free, and we will see if the timing aligns, Sunday or afterwards.
No.
Wait, hold the phone just a second, lady. Are you seriously texting this guy in an attempt to try to predict his schedule just to ease your insecurities? This guy gave you the best answer he could. He wasn't sure if he'd be free or not. But because the mystery surrounding whether or not he'd be scheduled to work on a Sunday was somehow not good enough for you, and it's all because of your personal preference to avoid tentative scheduling, which is a fairly common thing as most of us normally functioning human beings are incapable of seeing into the future. And even if we could, trust me, sister, we wouldn't be wasting that particular gift on finding out whether or not we have to work the next day. I, for one, would use my future seeing powers to find out the time and place a box of miscellaneous bowling pin machine parts will go on sale at a reasonable price. And I'm always on the lookout, because Skeeter's has been broken ever since the bowling ball cannon went on the fritz. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was cool using a cannon to score a couple of double turkeys, but it did cost him the use of his pin sorting machine, and even though it wasn't my idea to design such a large projectile launching device, I still feel the need to provide moral support, and in my opinion, that makes me obligated to help out.
I thought that was fine because I'm not a last minute plans girly, and I need to know that something's happening. I'm not going to keep my Sunday night open for a tentative plan, and I don't expect you to do that either. So either you're free or you're not, we're doing something or we're not. Easy. And I woke up this morning and I had been unmatched. I don't understand. I don't understand.
Well, I really can't say I'm surprised that you don't understand. It's a concept that's understood by your typical second grader, so it's beyond your basic level of comprehension. This guy did not know if he was going to be free or not, and you still demanded an answer from him. Now, work schedules are one of the purest forms of chaos in the known universe. They're completely unpredictable, and you'd know this if you ever had a job. And when you told him that his employer's uncertainty when it came to his work schedule wasn't good enough for you, that was all he needed in order to realize that you probably wouldn't be able to handle the rescheduling of a dinner reservation. And the implied attitude you attached with that text you sent him was just adding insult to injury. Now, you claim that this was completely cordial, but we all know that even if that wasn't the case, it doesn't matter. He's just going to apply whatever emotion he wants to that particular message, thus justifying his unmatching all the more. If you had ended the conversation with an "okay, just let me know" and showed some flexibility, you'd probably still be seeing this guy. But I guess your contempt for work calendars and your addiction to the apps take priority.
You have failed conclusively. It's over. And there is nothing that you can do here in this room that can turn that around.
They're finally admitting it. They've been denying it for so long, but they're finally coming clean. They are actually conceding the point that women have been making for years. That men are the problem because they're unwilling to change. Can someone call Anderson Cooper or Rachel Maddow? Get Jake Tapper on the line. I feel like this should be breaking news. David Muir, he and I go way back. Send one of your field reporters to cover this. And you better be careful, bro, before all the other incels come for you for saying the quiet part out loud. That's racist! I guess in the current political climate, they're once again emboldened to say whatever they want, however damaging to their cause in the long run.
Say what now? What now?
Oh, madam, you really should not be doing this. Outside of providing us with endless comedic fodder, compliments of your smug idiocy, thank you very little for that, by the way, you're also putting your massive ignorance on full display. This guy most certainly did not say the quiet part out loud. That's something you do, and we don't culturally appropriate. We've been saying this for damn near a decade and a half. Now, you're a lot slower than your average dullard, so try and keep up with me here. For too long, modern women have demanded that men, quote-unquote, change. They're always lacking in some sort of a department, be it looks, finances, or a desire to not engage in vigilante justice just because you cherry-pick crime statistics. You're constantly saying that we need to do better after you find yet another new and creative reason to hate men. And yes, you most certainly hate men. You're condescending, you're smug, and you act like any point we try to make doesn't count because we don't menstruate or something. I don't even know anymore. The reason changes because of the phase of your period, or in your case, how close you are to menopause.
But doesn't this just perfectly undermine the gaslighting, the victim blaming, all the misogynistic narratives the red-pilled right has been pushing on us this whole time? Women need to pick better. Women need to give average guys a chance. Women need to be less disagreeable, less masculine, less woke. Women don't want to be traditional wives anymore. Feminism is to blame. But this man just inadvertently acknowledged that we have feminism to thank, because now no woman has to settle for a man who is unwilling to work on himself to be a better partner and to be a better person. You are so angry at women for no longer accepting less than they deserve, yet you are too weak, too scared, not man enough to confront each other and to confront yourselves.
You need to face the fact You're a racist. A racist. You, not me. I'm not the racist.
Well, what a coinkydink! You just inadvertently proved our point. Whenever a man tries to point out the toxic societal cult known as feminism, your knee-jerk reaction is just to relentlessly rip into men. We got all the classics here: misogyny, emasculation, and even the projection of your bitter attitude towards existence in general. And that's the problem, woman. You keep insisting that men are pissed off at you for not giving average dudes a chance, but that's not the case here. We're actually kind of thankful that you don't do that. Look in the mirror, woman. Your attitude is profoundly unattractive, and quite frankly, I'm unaware of any interplanetary space tyranny that would subject their political dissidents to such torture. You're the one that's spewing the hate and vitriol towards anybody who disagrees with you because that's all you have. You don't want to have a conversation or even ask men to articulate why they feel the way they feel. You immediately try to go on this pseudo-intellectual rant about how men are to blame for everything yet again because a man pointed out, and quite honestly, that men aren't willing to change to fit the sensibilities of a modern woman. But I hate to break it to you, sister, if you're going to try to make an attempt to sound intelligent, it's going to take a hell of a lot more than a chip on your shoulder and a bad attitude.
And as I've said before, if you base your masculinity solely on superiority to femininity, you are going to miss the mark every time for what it truly means to be a man. Because I love men, okay? Really wish I didn't, but I do.
Liar, liar, liar.
And not in the way some men say they love women, where they're attracted to them, but they don't actually like them. I love a healthy, vibrant masculinity, and I love hanging with my guy friends who are radiant examples of that, where they still rag on each other and still make dick jokes, but they can also adequately identify and express the full range of human emotion.
I don't think any of that's true.
Well, golly gee willikers, woman, you sure as hell showed me you got some gay besties, therefore it's impossible for you to be a misandrist. I am so glad you pointed out that vain attempt to try to make yourself look like you're the morally superior one in comparison to the rest of us. Real mature there, sweetheart. But in regards to your male quote-unquote friends, they're just men that will welcome you with open arms and won't touch you in an intimate manner because there isn't any form of mutual attraction. And because they're your fellow drones, you can wax intellectual as you just repeat the same talking points that your propaganda machines have been telling you to parrot. You put so much emphasis on male emotions as if that's what's causing all of the problems, but you haven't given us any concrete examples of what you mean by that. You're just giving off this impression that the majority of men are just short-tempered bar brawlers, and any man who comes to chime in is immediately written off as a racisms. Oh wait, is that a fascisms? Oh wait, no, that's not it. Is this one queer phobiaisms? I don't know. I keep forgetting because it keeps on changing depending on your mood swings.
And I, like so many other women, will not settle for less than that in a partner. And because we've worked on ourselves, we are content to live our lives as single women if a man on our level never comes along. But gentlemen, too many of you have not done that, and you never will. And I can't convince you to change. All the women in the world can't convince you to change. You can only want it for yourself. But until you do, at the very least, stop blaming women and feminism for your current predicament and acknowledge what we both already know. Women don't need to choose better. Men need to do better.
I hated that so much.
Oh, men need to do better, huh? Okay, fine. Fair enough. How? How do men need to do better? I mean, you're the expert. You've done so much work on yourself with your rampant drinking, carousel riding, career focusing, divorce frenzy that you're definitely the one to look for advice. So how must men do better? Because it sounds to me like anytime a man says something or does something you don't like, then it's his fault that World War II happened. So you tell me, sweet cheeks, what's it gonna take? What do we need to do in order to achieve this magical change you keep talking about? Wait, what's that? It's not your responsibility to tell us? We have to educate ourselves? Well, isn't that just freaking convenient? The reason why men are blaming feminism is because it made you a bitter, jaded, unlikable mess. Feminism has done next to nothing for you in the benefits department. Name one thing. You have a job that leaves you unfulfilled, men don't want to talk to you, and you're combative more often than not, and you're spending the majority of your time by yourself in an empty home as you blame men for your terrible life choices. Meanwhile, men are having a laugh at your expense because at the end of the day, you spend way too much time to tell the world that you know less than nothing about anything. And that's gonna do it for today's video, gentlemen and gents. And as always, if you find that my particular brand of comedy is bringing you to the brink of laughter, then why don't you scroll on down and click that like and subscribe button, ring the notification bell, leave a couple of comments, and be sure to share this video so we can give the good old-fashioned middle finger to the YouTube algorithm. Thank you once again for checking out the new video, gentlemen and gents, and until next time, peace out, homies.